right? So we are going to talk about Java variables. All right. So what are Java variables? Java variables are containers for storing the values in Java. So for example, let's say I want to add two numbers A and B, right? And A is assigned 10, B is assigned 20. Remember your primary school classes, right? So what they do, they just give you two numbers A and B. In A, they say A is equals to 10, B is equals to 20, and you have to add A and B, right? So these A and this B is nothing but Java variables, right? So Java variables are the containers that hold the data values. So are the containers, right? And there are different kinds of variables which are available in Java based on data type. So for example, as I said, A is equals to 10, B is equals to 20. This means I'm storing a numeric data in A and B, right? So this numeric data would be stored in a variable of int type, right? So there are different types of variable, right? First would be int. So int, this particular data type stores the numeric data without decimal. It stores without decimal. Means you can store the data like 10, 20, 30, 40, like that. Any questions? Any doubt? Anyone?
What is the full name for int? This an abbreviation.
Yeah, int stands for integer.
Integer. Oh, thank you.
Okay, so variables are containers that holds the data value. Now there are different types of variables which can store the data. So as I told you, A is equals to 10, B is equals to 20. So this A and B are called as variables, right? And this 10 and 20 is the data which these variables A and B are holding, right? So first type of variable is int, right? So int is used to store the numeric data without decimal. Examples 10, 20, 30, 100, 200, 400, 399, 299, like that, right? Now, if you want to store the data with decimals, there is a type of variable called as float with decimal. Example 19.2, 10.4, 11.6. So if you want to store the data with decimal, you will use float. Coming back to, okay, so variables, again, I'm repeating, variables are the containers that hold the data value, like Kalash said, right? If I'm saying A is equals to 10, B is equals to 20, so A is called as variable, B is called as variable, right? So Kalash, you are right. I'm also saying the same thing. Okay. Now I'm discussing about different types of variables which are also called as data types. But let's not focus on all the data types as of now. Focus on the bigger picture that there are 4 or 5 different kinds of variables which we can create in Java. Mainly integer data type, which is used to store the numeric data without decimal. Float, which is used to store the decimal numeric data with the decimals. Then there is something called as strings, right? So strings are normal text in Java. For example, if you want to store hello, or for example, you want to store Shaleen, for example, you want to store mango, orange, right? Then you are going to use a variable of type string. So for example, let's say you have a variable A, right? A is equals to 10, or you can say A is equals to Shaleen, right? So store the text, right? So store the text like as hello. and you can say Charlene, right? So as I said yesterday, hello world, I can assign it to one particular variable and then I can use that variable in order to reference it or in order to make it use everywhere, right? Then there is a fourth data type or fourth type of variable called as char, right? So for example, in text, you are storing the complete word like hello, Shalin. But let's say if you want to store a single character, right? That means you want to use a data type or a type of variable called as char. Okay. So it stores single characters of English dictionary. So you can say example A, B, C, right? So if you notice, while giving you examples, I have used 10, 20, 30, 40 without any double quotes or single quotes, right? So whenever you are representing numeric data in Java, you don't have to use any kinds of quotes before and after it. If you're representing decimal numeric data, again, you don't have to use single quotes or double quotes before and after it. But if you're representing strings, it is always surrounded by double quotes, right? So if you see hello is surrounded by double quotes, Shalin is surrounded by double quotes. Here I am printing hello world, which is again a string, right? So it is surrounded by double quotes. Right? Whenever you are representing a single character in Java, it is always surrounded by single quote. Numeric data without decimal is integer. Okay. Numeric data with decimal is float. So minus 10 is integer.
Okay.
Minus 11.6. Minus 0.6 is your float. Simple rule. Doesn't matter of sign. If it is a numeric data without decimal, it is an integer. If it is a numeric data with decimal, it is a float.
Thank you.
Basic simple rule. Right? And the final type of is Boolean. So Boolean is store two states. Either it could be a true or it could be a false. Just these two values, nothing else. Right? So majorly these are 5 different categories of data available in Java, right? Either you can use the numeric data, a string data, a character data, or a Boolean, right? So these are majorly 5 different categories where of data which you can store in variable, right? So these types of variables are further characterized, which we will discuss in a topic called as data types, right? Now, how to use variables, right? So for using a variable, we have a particular syntax. Syntax of creating variables, right? So first of all, as I told you, a is equals to 10 means there is a variable name and then there is a value, right? So variable name could be a, value could be 10. Variable name could be a, value could be Shalin. Variable name could be a, value could be only character a, right? Variable name could be a and value could be true, right? Make sense, guys? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Right. So, but in Java, your compiler is not smart enough to know that if a is equals to Shalin, it's a string data, right? So you have to explicitly define the type with a variable, right? So your variable is always associated with type. Okay. Right. So if you are declaring a data of string type, then you will always say string a is equals to Shalin. If you are representing a data of numeric data type, you will always say int or float a is equals to 10.
if we use the number, then we say type and like
Okay.
int name and then the value. Is that correct?
Correct. So let's
Okay.
say I will create a data variable name, right? So here integer means int is my type, a is my variable name, and value is 10. Right? If you notice here, a is my variables. A is a container that is holding the data value. A is holding 10. Whenever I'm saying a, you will come to know I'm talking about value 10. Right? So these are called as variable. If I say string, b is equals to Shalim, right? So b is my variable, string is my type, value is Shalim.
So that means that A has a value of 10 and B has the value of Shalin.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Okay.
And A and B are the containers, or A and B are the variables. Right? Why this is called as variables? So variables, as the if you talk about in layman terms, variables are something whose value can be changed, right? So A could be 10, now A could be 20, according to what value you are assigning. You can change the value of a variable at any given point of time. Now let's see another data type called as char c is equals to let's say d, right? So c is a variable, d is the value it is holding, and it is of type char.
Sir, what's the usage of character?
Character is used sometimes. For example, if you say you want to identify Shaleen is made up of how many characters, there could be a use case, right, in your coding, right? So you will get to know, okay, S is one character, H is one character, A is one character, right? Your string is always made up of characters putting together.
Yes, sir. But when we put C is equal to D, what does it mean?
C is the variable which is holding the value D, right? For example, B is the variable which is holding the value Shaleen. A is the variable which is holding the value 10, right? So this is C, but you can give it anything. Character value, right? So variable
What
name
is
could be anything, right? For example, string name is equals to Shaleen, right?
Mhm.
Or you can say over here, count is equals to 10. Right?
Okay,
So
sir.
what you have
So
done, you have basically defined a variable. Now you can use this variable anywhere in your code. You don't have to refer every time 10, 10, 10, 10. You will simply say count, and your Java will get to know that, okay, whenever you are using a variable name count, you are referring to a value of 10.
Sir, sorry for interruption. 10 and Shaolin, which is two variables, those have some, I mean, we can use them. Those have some meaning. Shaolin is a name and 10 is a number. So whenever we
And D is a character.
use,
What's the issue with D?
yeah, so I don't know where we should
It's an
use
English
the
character,
D.
right?
Okay.
It has its own significance. Okay, tell me something, whether you will be able to learn Shaleen is a word if you don't know S is a character. You first learn the alphabets, right?
Yes.
So that are also the basic part of English language.
Mhm.
So if you want to deal with complicated words like Shaleen, Talash, Furkan, right? You should have the knowledge of characters as well, right?
Yes.
So if you're talking about characters, characters became one entity. And if you're talking about a coding problem, right? There could be a problem related to characters as well. There could be a use case related to characters as well, right?
Okay.
Let's say tomorrow I give you a program that you have 5 characters, make a word out of it. There are 2 other data type of variable which we have discussed. One is Boolean, right? So Boolean a is equals to true, right? Which one is left? Float. So float a is equals to 10.5, right? So variables could be anything. You can define a, b, c, d, f, g, right? You can define count, you can define name, you can say anything to a variable, right? It's up to you, right? So variables are the containers that hold the data value. Means in this particular example, my count, name, character value a, and this is again b are known as your variables, right? Any questions, any doubt, anyone?
Yeah, quick question with Boolean, right? What is the default value for Boolean? True or false?
Default value is false, I think.
Okay, so it
Let me check.
Okay.
Default value of a is false, means default value of Boolean is false, right? So for class, I'll come to what are default values in some time.
Okay.
Okay. So again, count, name, character value a and b are your variables. Integer, string, char, Boolean, float is type of variables. 10 Charlene, d, a, and 10.5 f is your value of the variables, right? So simple syntax: type, variable name, and value, right? So some basic rules in Java in the same class. Means if I talk about this main class, you can have variable only once. Means if you're using count once, you cannot say count is string count is equals to Charlene. That will give you error because count is already being used, right? So variable name could be used only once in one class, right? Make sense? Hello everyone.
Yeah, Shalin, we can hear you. So it relates to within a class. Doesn't matter which data type it has, whether it's string or it's int. It's, for instance, double, but it should be the variable name should be only used once within one class.
Yes.
Okay.
Variable names are always unique inside a class. So they are like this. This rule is just because of the simple confusion. So for example, if it is allowed, right, a string count is equals to Charlene. But if I talk about Charlene count, I will never know I'm talking about a 10 or I'm talking about Charlene, right? So it will create a confusion. That's why there is a rule that there would be unique variable name inside a class, right? Anyone, any questions?
Sir, the string name, what we call the name, is it like it's not variable, right? It's just a
Name is a variable.
Okay, name is variable. Charlene is
Charlene is
value.
value of variable.
Okay, value of variable. Okay, so we can select different variables but not same values.
We can have same values but cannot have same variable names, right? So
Okay.
if you talk about this syntax, right, always compare this with syntax, right? So this is the syntax: type, variable name, and value.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
So name is your variable name.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can say anything. It's just not name. You can say person. So variable name could be anything, whatever you want to call it, however you want to identify it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So again, sir, sorry, because it's a bit confusing for me.
Yeah. No worries.
Yeah. So we can select same variable names with the different values, right?
No, variable names are always unique. So consider it as a family, right? So for example, in your family, what's your good name, sir?
Mustafa.
Mustafa. Is there any other Mustafa in your own family? Right?
No.
So my parent has two kids, but they have named Shalin only to me, right?
Okay.
Because of the uniqueness,
Okay.
right? So consider this main class as a family, right? So inside a family, can you have a two childs with same name?
Same name. No.
No, right? So that's the reason you cannot have two variables with the same name.
Okay. And can we have same value for different variables?
Yes, I can have twins, right? So my
Okay.
name would be different, but my value would be exactly same,
Okay.
hypothetically,
Okay.
right? So I can say, let's say string person one, right? I can have, I cannot have a string person one again,
Okay.
but I can
We have
string
to
person two
Yeah, with the name Charlene, with the value Charlene.
with the same value or with a different value, doesn't matter.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
I can have slash or I can say Mustafa.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Right? So here, person one, person two are the name of the variables, and Shalin and Mustafa are the type of the or is the value which
Values.
person one and person two are holding. All right.
Mhm.
In Java, every variable is associated with one type. So in a bigger picture, a string is that type. Right? There are more data types. There are more types which we are going to cover in the data types.
Okay, sir. Same concept goes with the integer, character, Boolean, and all
Every
that?
variable has the same concept. Yes.
Okay.
Right? So for example, integer a is equals to 10. You can change a is equals to 20 over here, right?
Okay.
But you cannot have integer a equals to 20. It means you are declaring again a, which is not possible, right? Now you can have b.
So it creates another question, sir. When you remove the integer and a is equal to
Yes,
20,
I'm coming.
so what's
I'm coming.
difference between two a's? Okay, sir.
Anyone, any questions till here? Are we clear with variables? What are variables? Variables are the containers that holds the data value.
Clear. Like
The last,
a,
is there any
B,
confusion?
person,
I think
person.
I've told the same thing. Variables are the containers that hold the data value, which was your conclusion, right?
Yes.
Is there any confusion?
No, now very clear. Yeah, I was mixing it somehow with the data type at the time.
It is very important to discuss this. Otherwise, we cannot write a variable in Java. That's the reason I discuss few data types first.
And these are the foundations. If we don't know that, then
okay. So Java variables are the containers that hold the data value, right? Variables are always associated with some type, right? Variables have some value. There are unique variables inside a class, right? So if you're using a string variable, a string value is always associated with double quotes. Numeric, there is no quotes of any sort of type. Then if you're talking about character, then it means you are using a single quotes. And in case of Boolean, you will use true or false without any quotes. Right? Anyone, any confusion, any doubt with variables?
Shalin, sir, what is the difference between float and double?
We'll come to when we'll talk about data types.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Should we play around with it for a few minutes?
Yes, yes. So please create few variables, give some unique names, right?
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Think,
Let's do it.
yeah, think about a student, right? So a student would have name, right? I'm just giving an example. So have one variable called as name. A student would have age. A student would have class. A student would have, uh, think about a student and create variables around the student with appropriate type.
Can you see the float? BB
Yeah.
is equal 10.5F. Why is F there?
This F represents float. So because you
Okay.
know, when we discuss later on the issue on typecasting, and then there are some float that we use F for it. For long we use L. Yeah.
Mustafa, do one thing, just save the program without if and execute it once. Just give the data type float, like Shalin given, give the variable name and equal to 11.5 or something without if, and I see the output. Whatever come into your mind, just tell me, okay? Then I will be help it.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so everyone, please share your screen one by one. Let's start with you, Mustafa. What the issue you're facing?
Okay, sir. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes. So as I told you, first thing, your character value should be in single quotes, right? Strings
Oh,
are in double quotes.
okay. Oh, good.
All right. So that's good. But we will come to how to use this variable. So we can simply print it, right? So this will not give you any output. The reason is here, put a semicolon at the end, put a semicolon at the end, student, in a student class,
Student
in
class.
another class, student, there is a class created a student,
Okay.
right? In line number 11, you have to put a semicolon. All the lines in Java are ended with semicolon. That's another rule.
Mhm. Okay, sir. So I just copied whatever you wrote on the screen.
Yes.
Yes,
No,
sir.
actually, what happens is that you have created a project called as classwork, right? So
Mhm.
it's like everything should be fine in a project, right? If even one class has errors, right, it will not let you compile another classes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's the reason that a class student which have errors is affecting your class practice.
Mhm.
So it's like project is like your family and classes are like your rooms,
Mhm. Okay.
right? So your
So the
room should be
sources,
perfect
yeah.
in order to be your house perfect.
Okay. Okay, sir.
So you can stop sharing.
Mhm.
Next one. So Boolean male, female, why you have given twice? Why you have declared the variables twice?
Got it, sir.
So we have defined these variables, right? But how to print them, right? So as Mustafa told,
Can I share Shalin now?
yeah, just give me a moment. We'll look.
Okay.
Okay. So now what we are going to see, we are going to see how to print this, right? So print statement is very clear. System dot out dot println, right? System dot out dot println, and I want to print the value of variable a. So I will simply say a, right? What it will print? It will print me the value of A, right? So if I run this program, value of A is printed, right? So whenever I am printing a variable, it's actually the value gets used. Similarly, I can print value of B. I can print value of person 1. I can print value of person 2. I can print character value. I can print data. And I can print B, right?
So Charlene, I did one thing. Instead putting the variable type in the system println, I put Boolean. Would it work?
I didn't get.
So let me share my screen very quick so you see it. I did a like kind of a silly stuff, and I just want to make sure that in the future would it work or not?
Yeah, sure, please.
A comment. Yeah, you see here, instead of putting the variable, right, while printing it, I put, for instance, the data type itself here in the
No,
here
no, that
as a
doesn't make any
char.
sense. That
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so we cannot put, for instance, the data type inside the system println.
Right. You cannot use. So it's like you are using these variables, right? So
Mhm.
what's the use a data type has? For example, your family, my parents have 2 childs, right? So they
Mhm.
will refer me as Shaleen. They will not call me child Shaleen, child Shaleen, child Shaleen, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And they will not say okay child, right? So system dot out dot println int doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Or char or anything. So it's a must that there should be the variable inside it, not the.
Only variables could be printed.
Mhm. Okay, great. A silly mistake, but hopefully.
Okay, so what we have done, we are printing the variables, right? So whenever we are printing the variables, we actually get the value of those variables as output, right? So as I told you, the reason we are using variables is because we want to refer it somewhere else in our code, right? So right now our code is very simple. We have declared some variables and then we are printing the value of those variables, right? Make sense, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right now, this is simple print statement. Here we have just printed the value, but we can append it with some text, right? For example, I want to display it like the value of variable A is, right? So what I can do is I will simply say it, the value of variable A and plus A. So this plus is basically used inside a println statement to append multiple things in a single statement. For example, it will print the value of variable A is 10. Right? So whatever you are giving inside double quotes, it will print as it is. Whatever, wherever you are using a variable name, it will print the value of that particular variable. So whatever variables you have created, please print the value of those variables in console. Anyone else would like to demonstrate?
Yes, sir. I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen, sir?
Yes.
Okay, so when I run this
So
Yes, sir.
number there, see again, I told you, if there is something red, it means it's showing you there is some error, right? You can see at line number 18, there is some red symbol, right? It
Mhm.
means it is expecting something over here, right? And what it is expecting, you have said ki the first student score is, then you have appended with number. Again, you have to put a plus symbol, right? Again, you are putting something else.
Oh, okay, here.
Right? So if there is a red, please don't run it, because it has some errors. It will not run as per your expectations. Now you can run
Okay.
your program.
Okay.
Comment this particular thing or delete it. Delete it for now.
This one?
Yeah.
Where is the light? Okay.
Right.
How can I put space here, sir?
Okay. So go back to your code, class practice. Right.
Yeah.
So whatever you will print, give a space over here after is.
Oh, okay, here.
So whatever you are giving inside double quotes, it will be used as it is.
Mhm.
You have to give a space before out. Yes.
Let's run it again. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
So you can stop sharing.
Mhm.
Anyone else?
Yes, Shalin, sir.
Perfect. 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 Anyone else? Okay, so quickly, what are variables?
Variables, containers that stores
Not
values.
you, Talash. Not you, Talash.
Acha ji.
The values which are changeable, which we can change it according to our project.
So what are variables?
Those information which are changeable.
Yes, those things which are holding that information. So a container that holds the value.
Yeah, basically we can say information.
So coming back, as I told you that we can do something like this. Integer a is equals to 10 and then a is equals to 20. Here, what I'm doing, I'm using variables in a true sense. I'm using the value of variable at a given point of time, right? And as the name suggests, variables are something which can hold the value which is changeable, right? Now, how is it possible, right? So what really happens in Java? There are two steps. One is your declaration of variable. And another one is your initialization of variable. Right? So this integer a, if I say integer a, right, just this particular line, it means I am declaring a variable. Make sense, guys? If I say integer b, It means I'm declaring a variable B. I'm not giving any value to it. If I'm say string C, I'm declaring a variable C of type string. I'm declaring a variable of A and B of type int. Does it make sense, guys?
Yes, sir.
Right. So this is called as declaration of variables. Means we are declaring that there are variables of A, B, C of type int and string respectively. Right. Now second steps comes to initialize this. Right. So I will say A is equals to 10. B is equals to 20. C is equals to Shalin. Right. So initialization can happen multiple times. So A is equals to again 20. Means I'm just changing the value of A. I'm not declaring A again. Means a variable can be declared only once, but a value can be changed multiple times. And whenever I was saying integer A is equals to 10, I was doing these two steps at one time. Integer A is equals to 10 means declared the variable, then initialize the variable at a give in a single line. Right. But actually in Java, these are made up of two lines. One is your declaration part, another one is your initialization part. Initialization can happen multiple times. Declaration happens only once. That's the reason I said integer A is equals to 10 is possible, but and you can again say A is equals to 20, but you cannot say integer A is equals to 20. This is not possible. The reason it is not possible because you are again declaring it. So declaration of variables again and again with the same name is not possible. You cannot say integer A again. Means you are declaring a variable with the same name again. So if I run this program, it will print. Okay, let me just comment out everything else. Right. The value of A is 10, but now if I change it to A is equals to 20, and again I printed the same thing, it will give you 10 and 20. Right. So declaration of A has happened once, but I'm changing its value again and again.
So if you clear the first line of printing, then again it says the value of A is 20. If you
Yes.
if you delete this one, yeah.
Yes. The reason is that when you are printing it in line 18, but you have changed the value in line 17, right? So the value becomes 20 only. It will print only the value of A is 20. In Java, your instructions are executed line by line. It's a top to bottom approach.
So one thing that I wanted to consider to say, like, for instance, when I showed my code with string, I put some digits into it as well. So with the string, we can also put numbers as well.
Yes, yes. A string could be anything.
Okay.
Bond 007 is a name, right? It's a text.
Yeah, James Bond 007.
A string could be anything, whatever you want to put. You can simply say string C equals to whatever you want. This is a valid string.
Yeah, great. Let's move forward.
It could be anything, right?
Mhm.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, let's jump in to another topic.
Okay, so that's for today. Tomorrow we are going to discuss about data types. So these types of variables, int, string, char, boolean, float, these are nothing but data types in Java, right? So there are few more data types which we are going to discuss tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So with that, should we conclude? Shalin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If there is any question, if not, we will conclude it for the day.